Speaking of permanent damage, Jay, this Guardians pitching rotation could do permanent damage to opposing teams' lineups. You asked the question to Will Brennan. Let's start with you, Bull, because you gave your answer a little while Brennan was talking. Of all the Guardians pitchers this season, who has the best chance to win MVP this year?
By the way,
Cy Young. Sorry,
By
Cy
the way,
Young,
wasn't
Cy
it
Young.
interesting that Will Brennan said, "Yeah, there's no chance Tim Anderson could play here."
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, I was a little surprised he admitted that.
He was frank and honest, and I'm glad.
I'm not,
Now watch they sign him tomorrow.
Now you're right. If I'm probably if you asked Vegas this answer, it would probably be Shane Bieber because
undoubtedly
he is the only one.
He's won one.
That is won one, right? But I wanted to go. I didn't like the way Bieber pitched last year, and I know Brennan's saying, "Hey, he looks great, whatever." I think we may have seen the best of Shane Bieber already. Now, that doesn't mean he won't be good. I think he's reached his peak, and now he's a little below, and he'll still be good, but he's not going to be that. So I look at the other guys, and I say, well, who's the most talented? Well, I think they're all very talented.
They really are.
Now, I think, in my opinion, Logan Allen's the least talented of the four guys. I may turn out to be wrong, so I took him out, but because I think he's the least of the four guys. I took McKenzie out because I'm worried about the injury. Sure. Like, he never got surgery. We're going to be a little nervous about him all year. So then it came down to Bibee and Williams. Now, Bibee was better than Williams last year, but watching them pitch, I think they're both extremely talented.
Just the stuff.
Yes, fantastic.
A+ stuff.
But I think Gavin Williams is a little better than Tanner Bibee. And in their careers, he'll ultimately be the better guy. He has slightly more dominant stuff than Bibee. So do I think Gavin Williams is going to win Cy Young this year? No, I don't. But I think he has the combination of best stuff, opportunity. He's just a big kid. So I'm going to go. I don't think it's overly likely, but if this kid puts it all together this year, I think he could pitch to a 270, 260 ERA. That's not crazy. We've seen it with young pitchers before.
Hell, that's only knocking half a run off his ERA
exactly.
from a year ago.
He had a great ERA. You know, the whip's got to be down if he wants to have a Cy Young
that was
season.
a bit high.
He's got to knock that down to about 1, which is tough to do. But he's got big-time strikeout stuff.
Yeah.
So I think you can make a credible case for almost all of them, but I'm going to go with Gavin Williams.
This is a really good one.
You know the problem is, Bull, you purist. You like you purists. You like guys to throw hard. You like the 6'5" could really bear down on hitters. And look how he sawed that guy off inside. Yeah, that's good. Hey, listen, trust me. I wanted to see him here last year, pitch very well. But if you want to look at performance, Tanner Bibee outpitched him by a lot. Like, look at the record. Like, look at the strikeouts.
Better ERA, better whip. Yeah.
I mean,
more innings.
He just doesn't have the physical stature as Williams. So when you look at him,
when you see him in person, you're like, I saw him last year at spring training, I'm like, this is Tanner Bibee.
This is him. He got more. He looks more like Miles Straw or a junk ball pitcher than a guy that is striking out 141 guys. But I tell you what, his velocity was up last year. I didn't think he threw the ball that hard. But listen to me. He's like, I don't know who they're going to throw starting or opening day, but
I imagine it would be Bieber just out of
respect.
He's the experienced
my
veteran.
prediction, I say they go Bieber, McKenzie, Bibee, Williams, Allen. That's probably the order.
That is the order.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, I think that is the order.
Now, the only reason that might change is because Allen, well, I was going to say because Allen's
the lefty
but,
might weigh into it depending on who they're playing in the fourth game and the third game and the fifth game. If there's a lineup that's heavy lefties, then
they might do that.
They might do that.
If the Guardians win, say they get sneaky and win you 84, 85 games. It's because the pitching they've stayed healthy all year and the young dudes pitched. It's a shame because if they had 1 or 2 bats, that young pitching staff with the bats in this division with Kansas, they could make noise, but we all know it's not coming.
Oh, they have the pitching to win.
You're right.
This pitching staff
they don't have
looks
the hitting
like
to win.
At 100% agree.
At least proven. I mean, it could turn out to be, but
I don't follow the National League like you do, so I could be over my skis with this statement. I think the Guardians have the best young pitching staff in baseball. Young being the big word there.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I probably wouldn't disagree.
Like, these are 3 front of the rotation young starters that The key is going to be injuries. Last year with all of the injuries,
Right.
you kind of felt like the season got sideways right away with the McKenzie injury. Then came the Bieber injury. Okay, you're down. You're 1-2. There was a point in August where they had something like 9 starts from the 5 guys that they broke spring training with last year.
Yeah.
That's maybe as bad as I've ever heard. I'm going to go with Bieber because I go back to his last start of the year last year. We thought that was going to be it for him in a Guardians uniform. I figured that they would. I still haven't ruled out the idea that they could trade him before the season starts. I hope they don't. But I think that Shane Bieber is closer to the guy that we saw at the end of the year when he was fully healthy and completely recovered. I think he's motivated to have a big season. Obviously, this is the last year of his contract. He's a bulldog, too. He is a guy he's just a grinder. I think that he has the opportunity for a huge bounce-back year. He would be my number 1 pick. My number 2 pick is going to be McKenzie, but with a huge caveat.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I think he's the key to the whole rotation. Because if you get a good
health.
If you get a solid McKenzie and he's playing and he's not back on the DL like he's off again, on again, that's tough.
It's funny. We talk about these young pitchers. McKenzie's still very young too.
Tough.
Was he
He's
25?
And
26? Maybe?
Yeah, and what's funny is now he hasn't pitched in 2 years. I got all these young pitchers. Their number 1 pitching prospect is a guy named Daniel Espino, who's been hurt for 2 years, and I don't know where he is right now. Supposedly he's healthy. I don't know if he's.
Didn't he have Tommy John last year?
I think he's had 2 Tommy Johns, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's a real question mark at this
but
point.
Before these injuries,
he was the top
their
prospect.
best guy.
Yeah, and now we don't know. But
yeah.
So what we know about the Guardians is they have a great track record of developing young pitchers, drafting young pitchers, and getting them to the major leagues and having success out of them. The problem with them this season is going to be where the run's going to come from. Right. Outside of Hosey and Naylor, there's not a lot of run producers in there. And
Jimenez, you think would bounce back from a down year last year, but if he's your 3rd best run producer, you're not that. Maybe. Now listen, again, you're banking on young players.
Maybe Bo Naylor.
Between Bo Naylor, Kyle Manzardo, who my gut tells me won't start the season in the majors because they want to save on the service time.
I bet he does.
Which I hate.
Yeah, I do too. I hate it.
Those guys will eventually, they'll hit some home runs. But, if Manzardo comes up in May 1st, what's he going to hit, 15 home runs as a rookie?
Y'all been telling me.
28.
Jason been telling me about Arias for 2 years. I'm waiting on this Arias.
I don't know that Arias is going to be a starter.
I got to tell you, I almost washed my hands of him last year. There were times where it's so weird, and this is the case with a lot of young players.
Yeah.
There were at-bats where I looked at him, I said, no, there's nothing, it's not serviceable.
Right.
There were other at-bats where I'm like, okay, I see now why there's such an addiction to him, because he can put it all together, if he can put it all together, but holes in his swing, not great plate discipline, and I just don't know. I hope for the kid that he can.
Even, they need 2-3 hitters, but even if they had gotten one big slugger in the outfield, I'd be like, okay.
A known commodity, not someone that we hope develops.
Because then I move Quan to center. By the way, I know you weren't here. We had Quan on earlier this week.
Yeah, what did he say about that?
I asked him specifically, I didn't say if they bench Miles
No,
Straw,
what's your comfort level of playing center?
But I said that. I said, you've been a Gold Glove left fielder. Are you confident you'd be just as good in center? And he was very honest. He was like, I got to say that I'd feel just as good. But he kind of went on to say, why mess with something that's working and blah, blah, blah. So I think he'd have confidence, but I think he realizes he wouldn't be quite as good in center. But he's good enough if you had to do it.
I believe he could be.
And that's what, but we'll see. I think at this point, obviously they're not going to sign any of these free agents that are still out there because there is some power out there. I mean, you still got Bellinger, you still got Matt Chapman, and you still got J.D. Martinez.
But we're hearing nothing, and there's no whispers that the Guardians are in on any of those
J.D. Martinez would have to be the DH, but they're not going to sign those guys. And the only hope of them adding power at this point is internally, or if they did make a late trade here with Bieber or Clase or something. But it is frustrating because the pitching staff, not just the starters, the bullpen too. The one addition they made, Scott Barlow, he didn't have a great year last year, but relievers, they're up and down. He's overall been a good relief pitcher, and they already had a good pen. So I like their pitching. I mean, their pitching is by far the best in this division.
Got a closer.
No, we've got everything. Now, a lot of this is what's going to happen at the deadline.
Right.
You know, we don't know if
Well,
Bieber's
Bieber's
gonna
gone
be,
if they're not in it.
if they're, and by in it I mean
Yeah.
like within 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
Last year they were within 2, I think, of the of the Twins, and they were sellers.
Well, and Savali wasn't even a free agent.
no.
Like Bieber's a
And-
free agent, so unless they're
He's
clearly
gotta
in
go
it,
or they get nothing
then-
for him.
Yes, right.
They get nothing for him. So, but my hope is we're within striking distance and they keep him. I'm still fearful that he's going to be traded before that.
Yeah,
to
he
get
could
to maximize your return on
He
him.
could be. If they're mediocre and not really in the mix, I think he and Clase will both get traded because a closer actually has more value at the
But
deadline.
Clase is a team-friendly deal, and he's got years on his team.
Right, but think about at the trade deadline, teams desperate for a closer.
I know.
You could get a haul for him.
You could.
You'd get like 4 good players.
To me, they'd have to be out like 5+ games out of first place. to be sellers because you just look, it's a crapshoot in the playoffs with
and
baseball.
nobody's that good in this division. I mean,
No,
the
it's very
Twins were the
winnable.
only good team last year, and they lost Sonny Gray.
Yeah, they've downgraded.
They traded Polanco.
They did sign somebody. Didn't they make a signing?
Yeah.
I can't remember who they
A
signed.
lot of baseball to be played
They
between
did
now
sign
and the
somebody.
I'll look
deadline,
it
though.
up.
We'll